What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We're back once again with another Andor review as we dive into episode number 6, the heist that we were certainly all looking forward to. The title of this week's episode, I believe, was The Eye, in reference to the meteor shower and the effects that it certainly looks like in the night sky as all these blazing meteors just kind of come through the atmosphere and stuff. Just incredible stuff here in this week's episode, like visually. The heist was extremely stunning, but I was a big fan of this episode, man. This is everything that I wanted. I mean, the intensity was certainly ratcheted up tenfold here, trying to figure out who was going to make it out of this alive, who was going to die. Because listen, as intense as dangerous as this mission was, a lot of them were certainly referring to it as a suicide mission. You knew at some point in time something was going to go wrong. You just didn't know what that something was or when that something was going to happen, and we just found ourselves really waiting for that shoe to drop to kind of see who's going to make it out of here alive. So I really do appreciate sort of the intensity, and if anything, I really enjoy kind of seeing the nerves of the characters maybe get the best of some of them in here, right? Like getting an opportunity to see Nemec getting ready the morning before the mission, right? His conversation that he winds up having with Andor, talking about how nervous he was, and Andor trying to give him that relief in a sense of, don't worry, like once the mission starts and that adrenaline hits, it'll carry you through, like you're going to be more than fine in that sense. Also even getting an opportunity to see Vel in here having second thoughts, right? Like when you've got her second in command, Tam, who over the conference, over the radio call, is trying to figure out, like, are we good to go, and seeing Vel's nervousness. I don't know if it was the jump that she certainly had to do, hoping that the harness would certainly hold her. The idea of, am I going to make it out of this alive, right? Like really having everybody's life in your hands, and you have to give them the green light to continue along with this perilous mission or so. Like just seeing her nerves, a couple of like gulps that she certainly had to take before making that call. I thought it was as realistic as possible in regards to the idea that these people aren't just going to want to jump into the fray without any sort of second thoughts type of thing. And so to see even Vel kind of question things for just a brief minute, but then certainly push forward was just exactly what I needed when it comes to just nerves and intensity in here. And I thought they did an amazing job, honestly. It seemed to me like they might have been a little bit behind schedule in regards to their heist, just because it makes me wonder if they meant to time up the static interference for the comms for the base with where they were at. Like there's a part of me that wants to believe that maybe they wanted to be further ahead of that particular schedule when the comms went out, because the comms guy winds up, I guess, maybe changing the different channels, picking up some interference as he's able to pick up the rebel communication over their lines, which was pretty interesting to me. I'm kind of surprised. Well, look, it is rebels, right? Like it's not like they've got the highest of high-tech technology that they can certainly use. They're certainly using what is available to them or what they've been able to steal. So there's a part of me that would think that maybe they would prepare for that, or maybe use lines of communication that weren't dependent on using the same lines that the Empire is certainly using. Because the moment the guy picks up their chatter is when he starts realizing that, yeah, something is definitely going wrong here in the base, that it's not interference from the shower or the eye or anything like that. And this is really where it kind of throws a wrench, if you will, in our rebels' plans. It's just a little bit bummer for me that we had Lieutenant Gorn and Tam, the two black guys on the show, be the ones that don't make it out of here alive, but super intense. I mean, like for me, as if I was an Imperial officer, I mean, the idea that you had like 8-9 people in there, like clearly outnumbering the rebels, but the fact that the rebels had like their guns and stuff really just put them in their place. I mean, literally demanding that these Imperial troopers help them load up these Imperial credits onto the ship as they try and steal the payroll from the Empire. I believe this is a payroll for the entire sector. I mean, so when you look at this vault and you've got these gold bars of just credits all the way down the hallway. Just an incredible sight to certainly see. And I love the intensity of everybody trying to lift those heavy ass credits and just load up the ship. I mean, just really, really incredible stuff. The pacing in this episode was unbelievable. Getting the opportunity to kind of see how they pull this off. Just the literally taking the advice of Andor in the sense of you just walk on in, right? Like when Luthen asks him in episode 3, like, how did you do it, right? Like, how did you even get in there to steal what you needed to steal? And Andor says, look, you just walk in like you belong, right? Like, dress up like them, maybe throw some dirt on your face, whatever the case may be, and you just walk in there, and they're so arrogant, and you know, that they don't even really care about the little people or even think that people could get to them at this particular point in time. And it seems as though like that's literally the plan that they certainly took in this episode, in the sense of we're just going to dress up like Imperial officers, we're going to stand along the route that the Donnie come, and then we're just going to pretend that we're escorting them, and nobody questions it. Like, even to the point of seeing the other Imperial officers that might be from like your sector or your section, they're making eye contact, but yet nobody even bothers to ask the question, like, where are you guys from? Like, what base did you guys come from, sort of thing. They just naturally believe that everybody who belongs there is meant to be there. And it definitely gives Andor and his crew the opportunity to certainly get inside and execute this particular mission. But again, I mean, the intensity was there. Even the guy that they captured, the big guy, right, that they with the family, you know, they were threatening him, or his family was certainly going to die. I love that moment when he recognizes that it's Lieutenant Gorn and realizes that it's somebody from the inside that wound up actually helping him, and the disgrace that certainly comes with it. A little bit of a bummer, though, that him and Gorn both die at this particular moment and don't make it out of here. But incredible stuff, man. So I think the only people that survived getting onto the freighter was Andor, Nemik, along with Vel and Skeen, if I'm not mistaken. But unfortunately, poor Nemik, who I was really hoping would make it out of here alive, winds up getting crushed by these credits, clearly paralyzed and damaged. Alive enough to definitely have some amazing navigator skills, to where it's like, can I almost just take that whatever that technology he was using for his navigation piece and just plugging that into like a spaceship or something like that. I mean, he did an amazing job with just navigating him through the craziness that is in fact the Eye, but unfortunately his injuries was just a little bit too much for him, and he didn't make it out of here. But I thought what was super compelling, though, and I think is going to be a great thing going forward for Andor, is the Namek manifesto, right? I think in the previous episode, one of the things that I mentioned was I hope that Nemik survives just so I can read his manifesto. I would love if like Del Rey Books and Lucasfilm team together to go ahead and publish his particular manifesto. I really want to see like what his mindset was in regards to the pushback against the Empire, or what the Empire does to enslave its people or make people just go along with what it is they're trying to do in regards to overtaking the galaxy, if you will. Like, I really would love to see just his mindset on that. And I think him giving that manifesto, even as his last dying wish to Andor, will hopefully bring Andor around to have a different mindset in regards to how he views the rebellion, or why he should maybe join the rebellion, or even give him more reasons to fight against the Empire, to pile on top of the reasons why he personally hates the Empire in the first place. And so I'm hoping that Namek's manifestos help shape Andor into becoming sort of, the team player, I guess, for the Rebel Alliance that we eventually see when we get to Rogue One. So I am hoping that manifesto is what leads him certainly in that direction. But visually, the escape and the heist part was amazing. Getting the opportunity to actually see the Eye that they were referring to, incredible. The great navigation skills. Han Solo would certainly be proud of what Nemik and Andor were certainly capable of doing in that. And it just felt very Star Wars-y to me. Getting the opportunity to see the TIE fighters, some great shot selections. Like, I love getting the opportunity to see the officers get into their TIE fighters and get everything everything certainly ready to go to for their particular chase and stuff. But it was visually stunning, and I thought they did an amazing job of really building the anticipation to this moment, and certainly well worth it. Just a really great heist episode, to certainly say the least. Tony Gilroy definitely came through in that regard. You can feel him all over this particular episode for sure. But great stuff overall. I will say, when it comes to the Andor character, listen, while they are in fact saved and they do get out of this alive, some of them, I will be curious to see if it'll bite Vel in the butt for, instead of going to her destination right away, trying to find a doctor. Like, I wonder if her making that side mission to get the doctor for Nemec will have the Imperial officers more on her tail, and maybe closer to finding them than they certainly were before. We'll definitely have to see if that was a wise decision on their part. But the idea of seeing Andor kill Skeen in here, for Skeen wanting to technically kill Vel and get away with half of the profit for themselves. Look, it would have been just a matter of time before Skeen probably tried to kill Andor also and take all the money for himself. But for Skeen to kind of be that bold, to go ahead and kill Vel, getting to kind of show that maybe he was the weakest link out of all of them, in the sense that, he clearly didn't have the best intentions of joining this group in the first place. Lied about his brother. What else did he certainly lie? What else could he possibly certainly have lied about? You know what I mean? So you definitely get to see the intentions of Vel here. But the fact that we get somebody like Andor, who again, within 6 episodes, has killed somebody sort of in cold blood. The first time, it was interesting because, self-defense, right? These guys were probably going to kill him, rough him up, yada, yada, yada. I don't think it was certainly something he meant to do. It felt very much like an accidental death when he killed the first guy in the fight, but very much knowing that he kills the second guy when he actually, begs and pleads, like, I won't say anything in that first encounter, right? So he's killed somebody in cold blood in order to protect himself. And now he's killing somebody else once again. Like, before, maybe I could kind of give you a pass, but now Andor, if you ask me, is full-on killer right now. Like, he's got 3 dead bodies on his hands, 1 accidental, 2 clearly on purpose. This one felt very much more like a definitive, like, damn, Andor, I can't believe you took this dude's life also, right? And so it definitely paints Andor into a very interesting position. While I think it's a character that most of us certainly have gravitated towards and enjoy his story, is he that much of a likable character? You know what I mean? Having killed a couple of people already, especially in the fashion in which that he's doing it, by his own hand, his own gun, literally looking them in the eyes when he does it. He's making that conscious decision to kill these people, and it definitely makes you question the values and the morals and whatever the case certainly may be, right? There are some nasty things that you probably will certainly have had to do as part of the Rebel Alliance, and we're getting to kind of see that firsthand, and whether or not, and look, it doesn't stop for Andor, because when we see him in Rogue One, he's shooting somebody as well. So his shooting spree clearly continues over the next 5 years. But you see what this man is certainly willing to do in order to either protect the rebels or just protect himself at the end of the day. I mean, look, he was nice enough to at least give Vel the rest of the money and just take his cut afterwards. But there's a huge line of bodies that are certainly following Andor around during this particular time in his life. So I do love getting the opportunity to see that he's not just this clean sort of just this clean hero that's out to just save you sort of thing, right? He's definitely has done his fair share of evil things to certainly get where he's certainly at. So I think that's pretty eye-opening when it comes to the Andor character. Outside of that, I think, if anything, there's a part of me that wonders if what else did we see? We saw Luthen. He wind up getting the good news that the mission was a success. He got to celebrate a little bit, some laughter and some smiles at the very end of the episode. Poor Mon Mothma has the personality of like a cardboard box. Nobody in the Senate is listening to anything that this woman certainly has to say. While she is certainly financially responsible for the Rebel Alliance and helping them with some of these missions, her role as a senator, it feels like, isn't really doing much, or isn't as impactful as I personally would have thought. Maybe Mon Mothma's true purpose and true power comes as being a part of the Rebel Alliance and maybe some of the work that she does behind the scenes. But her own daughter can't stand her. Her husband doesn't want anything to do with her, or finds her as a bore, as sad, if you will. The people in the Senate don't even want to listen to her proposals or what she's certainly talking about. So I do wonder if she uses this in a sense to make herself feel important or do something of importance when everybody else is kind of shut you out, if you will. So I did find that pretty fascinating in here. And I do think it's just a matter of time before the Empire goes to their other officer and Dedra, especially after this heist, right? She's been making an appeal to these higher up officers that, like, while these have been random attacks, you know, they are all connected, or at least she personally believes that they're all connected. She even mentions, this is how I would certainly do it, right? I wouldn't jump over the same fence twice. You steal what you need from various different bases, so they look like they're just random occurrences, but they're certainly not. And now that we have yet another rebel attack, I do wonder if this will come to Dedra's attention, and if somebody else recognizes it and is like, oh yeah, Dedra did mention this, or if Dedra will bring it up to them in a sense that, like, this is all connected. This heist here also was part of everything else that certainly has been going on as well. So it should be interesting to kind of see how that's further developed. But if you ask me, this episode was incredible. Everything I certainly could have asked for. Great tension, great special effects, amazing storytelling, and great character moments in here as well. So overall, guys, loved it. I want to know your thoughts, though. What did you guys think about this episode? These are just my A+ opinions. I always want to know yours. Let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below, and we'll definitely continue this conversation until next week's episode. But until then, guys, do me a big favor. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.